I just read volume 1 of Spy Family, and this is my breakdown on whether or not I'm going to continue to read the series. Quick warning though, there will be light spoilers of volume 1. Anyways, how's it going everyone? It's Hybrid here at the start of a brand new series where I read the first chapter or volume of a manga, break it down, and decide whether or not I'm going to continue it. Now, no matter your age or your experience, I'm sure you know all about the classic spy story. I mean, most of us can recall watching these over-the-top spy movies like James Bond, Kingsman, or maybe even Agent Cody Banks if you grew up on Disney Channel like I did. Well, imagine a story that combines the action of 007 with the character and situational comedy of series like Love is War and Psyche K. Well, that's Spy Family in a nutshell. The first main character we're introduced to is Lloyd, codenamed Twilight. He's cold, intelligent, and has quite the empathetic side, which he tries his hardest to hide. From the start, we get the impression that Twilight's very driven by his occupation as a spy, which we later discover reflects his desire to make a world in which children no longer have to cry. While I still don't know any specifics about his childhood aside from the fact that he grew up as a lonely orphan, it's pretty safe to assume that everything he does ties back to whatever harsh realities he had to face at such a young age. It's because of that he's willing to do just about anything to see any given mission through to the end, including dating his target's daughter, soloing a group of goons, and getting married and adopting a child in 7 days, which is the premise of Spy Family. The next character of importance we're introduced to is Anya. Now, Anya is a foster child who has bounced from home to home and is driven by her desire to be part of a loving family. Now, what makes Anya such a fun and standout character is her secret. She's a telepath. So in almost every spy story, the main protagonist has to keep their occupation a secret, which we all know and we've all heard so many times. They say things like, oh, if I told you what I did, I'd have to kill you. But what makes Spy Family really stand out so much is the fact that as of the first volume, Anya knows 100% that her father's a spy. This dynamic really opens the door for comedic elements, such as the time when Twilight considered returning her and she bursts out in tears begging for him to keep her, or the time when she ran away from Yor because she remembered hugging her brother so hard that his ribs broke. What makes Anya special is the fact that she has the knowledge of the reader and can think just like us. So while we're reading through the thoughts of the main characters, Anya is essentially doing the exact same thing with us, making her reactions all the more realistic and funny. It's almost like seeing a reflection of how you would react if you were a child. Also, as you can imagine, it's pretty difficult for a dedicated spy to fit the father figure role, which leads to numerous moments where you just can't help but laugh because the man who wants to create a world where children don't have to cry ends up unintentionally making his daughter cry. The final main character that was introduced is Yor. So Yor is a clerk by day and assassin by night. She's known as the Thorn Princess. Her main drive stems from her upbringing and desire to protect her younger brother, who she basically grew up with in poverty and was trained to be an assassin so she could support him financially. She's also very close with her brother. In fact, almost every single moment in the first volume where she makes a crucial decision, her first thoughts relate to her brother in some way or another, which highlights both her biggest strength and her biggest weakness. Now, this is a common element that we see in a lot of different stories. Take, for example, My Hero Academia's protagonist Deku, in the sense that these characters will always prioritize those they love over any objective. What makes Spy Family such a fun read for me is that it has the intense moments of action that you would expect from a spy story, while also having the Love is War type comedy that just has you smiling from ear to ear. What I mean by Love is War comedy is just the fact that the funniest moments come from the interactions and relationships between the main characters, as well as their clash in personalities, which is the comedy that all Love is War fans have come to love. It's also what makes series like Love is War, Psyche K, and Spy Family so different when it comes to the comedy scene, because a lot of it has to do with character development and how their personalities and abilities and situations clash with each other. The best part about it though is that it's not awkward at all. Like, I'm sure by now we've all seen an anime or read a manga where comedy is just placed at the wrong time and it feels really off and weird. But so far, and like I said, this is only speaking for volume 1, the comedy and the action actually work really well together to express each character's personalities. Once again, touching back to the dynamic that this series creates, it's always funny seeing Twilight go from beating up a group of bad guys to attempting to have a lighthearted day with his family and forcing himself to fit the role of a father figure, oftentimes quite terribly. And in scenes where he tried to convince Anya that he was playing a game of tag while Anya knew fully what was going on, but you know, she had to play along because she couldn't let Twilight know that she was a telepath. Now, Spy Family is written and illustrated by Tatsuya Endo, who does a phenomenal job properly executing tonal shifts. The art style in itself is able to go from these really harsh, action-packed, and often suspenseful moments to suddenly transitioning to a lighthearted scene of comic relief and wholesomeness. Also, like many other talented illustrators, there's just something about the backgrounds and the city scenes that really put you into the world of Spy Family. I'm just gonna highlight a few of my favorite panels, but you can tell that these illustrations took a great amount of effort, and they just feel super organic and natural. Another aspect of Endo's illustration that really stands out to me is just Anya's design as a whole. I'm sure most Spy Family readers can agree that any panel with Anya just instantly makes you smile. So you're probably wondering, like, why is that? Well, it's because Endo does a great job with portraying emotion and expression in a really comedic way. The concept of dumbing down facial features to portray a specific emotion is nothing new to manga. I mean, I'm sure all manga readers have seen this at one point or another, but there's just something about the way that Endo does it, paired with the situational irony of Anya's character, that just makes flipping the page 10 times better. So, do I plan on continuing Spy Family? In short, yeah, 100%. But in conclusion, Spy Family has one of the most fun and enticing first volumes that I've read in a really long time. It's one of those rare gems where I can recommend a series to fans of both comedy and action because it just accommodates both elements so well as of the first volume without any awkward placement or interactions. So if you haven't already, I definitely 100% recommend that you read through volume 1, give it a shot, see if you like it, because trust me, once this manga gets an anime, I just have the feeling that it's going to blow up and you're going to have those bragging rights of saying you read it before it became mainstream. But anyways, if you like this video, why don't you consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this one. Also, let me know which manga you guys want me to read next. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day, everyone.